Hi everybody, I just got back from a conference. It's the TAEA conference, which is the Texas Art Education Association. I was there with Rinea Foyle of Global Crafting. I was helping in their booth doing fun make and takes, which is what these little guys were here. This was my example at home, and then we did something a little simpler at the show. We did a little fun, clips. There could be planner clips, they could be just paper clips, bookmarks, whatever, but it was something fun that they could attach to their badge. And this is my badge that I got. It was really nice. It has a spot for, all your things in the back, and lots of fun. Then of course they have all the fun ribbons that you can attach to the bottom. So we were there, and yes, it's for art educators, and one of the first things we got was we got a bag from the conference itself. And the conference is all geared towards getting different supplies and different ideas and different concepts and lesson plans into art teachers' hands, so they can then pass it on to their elementary, middle school, and high school classes. And so this is just kind of a list of all the fun things and companies and classes that were there. And we did offer a class. Diane, the owner of the company, did 2 classes, one on Friday, one on Saturday. Conference went Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then we also got a sketchbook here with some lovely paper in it. So that's really nice that we got this nice little sketchbook. Other free little art things that are in here. These were all in our book. It talks about Big Art Day, some conference update schedules, just little fun things that were in our stuff. I'm not exactly sure what all of these things are. I haven't had a chance to fully go after it, but I think some of these are little ads, and looks like a little magazine, little art magazine. So this was in our bag, but then of course walking around the floor and talking with other vendors, you get some other freebies. All right, so some of the companies that are there are like Blick and NASCO and stuff like that. There are catalog companies that will hold and take on other companies like Elmer's, so you can go to their catalog if you're a school district and order from them for your school. And so some of those were doing make and takes, and this is the make and take I did there. And it's really fun and really easy and kind of a cool little art craft idea for your kids. And basically you take a sand, play sand, colored sand, and you put it in clear glue, and I don't even know if this is going to work anymore. It might have completely solidified. But basically you then can pour it out, and it becomes a glue that then hardens, like on this guy. So these were all different fun colors. So I had the clear glue in red sand, blue sand, green sand, yellow sand, and then we also have the black that we could then do fun outlines. And so this is just in a tray, so it wouldn't drip and get all gross. But it's kind of, because mine dripped over. So this is just on a canvas, and it kind of dripped over, and it's still somewhat drying on the back side. But once the glue hardens, it's like a new way of doing easy sand art. It does take an overnight or maybe a couple of days, depending on how thick you put it on there, but it's kind of a fun technique, and you can do whatever design. I just did random patterns. So that was a fun thing that I got to do. The other thing Blick was giving out is they had kind of a lesson plan in here. And so it's like a mini catalog of all the things that they do and some other ideas. And I think this is an apron that we got. I have a fun, pretty green apron. Seem to be collecting aprons lately. I need to find something fun to do with all of them. So now I have a really fun apron that I can wear if I don't want to get my stuff all dirty. It's really cool. So they were right across from us. So I was seeing this little activity here was going gangbusters. Everybody was jumping on board, and the lineup was out the door because it took a little while to do it. Our little make and take only took a couple of minutes, and so we had spots open all the time, but this little project, you could easily sit there for 20 minutes finishing it. So another booth that was kind of around the corner that was doing a make and take, and I only really sat down for a couple of the make and takes because I was mostly working in my booth running my make and takes, but I got to escape every now and then. This is just a standard tile, and some of the companies that were there are all about pottery and using your kilns and painting and then firing and stuff like that. And I don't obviously have that capability, but I just still thought it was kind of fun to sit down and play with that idea. So if I actually did fire this, it would be brilliant and just really pretty. But the concept of it is that you would go through and you would get a tile, you would whitewash the background with some color, and then you would get a little foam piece and 2 different foam pieces, and you would cut out one and create a stamp. And you could do a positive and a negative stamp, which is what they did here. And so whatever you cut out, you leave behind, and so you get a positive and negative image. Because I was in a rush, I didn't spend the time to create the positive and negative, so I just kind of created a positive image stamp, and I went ahead and stamped it over. And then when we were done, this is from Amco, they gave us the sample pack to finish it out. So again, what their version looked like. So this is their positive and negative version. That's same difference. And we got to see this tile. And I actually have a video about how they were doing this. So this concept, even though it was on a tile and you're supposed to fire it, I thought it was kind of a fun idea to transport that to even for paper. So even just the concept of how that worked. And so we got a couple of samples of some clear transparent, this is clear transparent glaze, and then this is their black velvet underglaze. So that's the black that we used on here, and then a glaze to go over top. I just don't have anything to fire this in, so that's okay. And then one of the amazing companies I walk by is called DecoArt, and DecoArt is a compilation of a bunch of different companies together. One of them is Reeves, another one is Liquitex, which I'm sure we've all heard of, Conte de Paris, and there's a few other ones in there, Winsor & Newton, Derwent, Nazaroo, Letraset. So they all are kind of part of the main parent company, DecoArt. So they had small little booths kind of all within one booth. They each kind of had their own separate table. They were showing off their stuff. And I do have some videos on Reeves and Liquitex coming up. And when I was there, he was talking and we were doing the video, and he goes, oh, just hang on, because he had a couple little samples of some of his watercolors. He had 2 colors in these big bins that you could take his samples and take with you. And he goes, hang on. And all of a sudden he hands me this bag, and in the bag I get my own watercolor pencils, I get my own artist watercolors, I get my own artist watercolors, liquid watercolors, and then I get water-soluble wax pastels. And he put this all in this really cool bag from Reeves, and it was just really sweet. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. His name is Bill. And then right next to Bill was Liquitex, and Liquitex was passing out, still part of the same parent company, these little samples. And in the samples, we got one of each of the different mediums that they were playing with. So we have a pouring medium, a flow aid, ultra matte medium, and string gel, and those are all pretty fun. And we got to kind of see them playing with them. And then, so we ended up getting 2 of those, so yay. So I have 2. Oh no, one's missing. Either that or my daughter got a hold of it, one of the 2. She saw me bring home my bag and went nuts with all my stuff, and that's too bad. Which one was that? My matte medium, I don't have that one. And then they also have their professional acrylic system, and so these are some of the things, and I actually got a couple of these guys when I was at the Pinners Conference, and so I got a couple more, and then I got a chance to test out the difference between the heavy body and the soft body acrylics. That's pretty fun. So I'm really gonna have fun. This is the exact same thing right here. And so now I've got even more samples. So thank you, Liquitex and Reeves. And then also next door to them is Conte de Paris. And so here, again, they had little sample packs they were passing out. This is a pencil, this is a crayon pencil. And then there's this little box. And it's got red and blue in it. Oh, and they're little, what are these? 2 pastel crayons. Yeah, 2 soft pastels. So little soft pastels. So again, something fun to play with, just to kind of test out and see what it's all about. So this is our little sample pack. Very fun. So Liquitex was also passing out a couple of fun examples and a little, you know, kind of like lesson plans, because again, this was all geared towards teachers. And so this was one of the fun displays they had, and then it told us how to make this and what to use and where to do it and how the kids could replicate it. So basically a tutorial about how to make the same thing, which I thought that was kind of fun. And how they're all mixing together, and they had these spray paints, and they had these markers, and they had ink, and just all kinds of cool things that they had in the booth. Another fun company I walked by, she actually came by and she was making one of our make and takes, and I asked her what company she was. She was like, oh, well, we're with Chroma Paints. I was like, oh, that's cool. I said, do you have any fun stuff? She's like, oh, follow me. And the next thing I know, she hands me a box full of all this stuff. And then I mentioned I was going to do some videos and I would play with it online, and they hand me even more stuff. So amazing, thank you. I got a binder medium. I got a clear gel medium. I mean, those are going to be fun to play with. I got some mural paint, and this is kind of cool. It's a paint that's got a dauber effect, so it just reminds me of the big Tim Holtz dauber paints, which are fun. A texture paste, always love that. 2 giant tubs of, it looks like a, they call them mural paint, but it's a silver nice smooth paint. It's gorgeous. And I got silver and I got kind of this gold color. And then they had a whole bunch of little tubes they were passing out, which I like because I can play with a little bit of it. And so I picked up some basic colors. These are all just acrylic essentials. So cool yellow, black, I got a warm blue, and I got a red. And they had a whole bunch more, but I didn't want to be super stingy and take one of every color when they were already being so generous to me. So amazing. Thank you so much, Chroma. I absolutely love it. I'm going to be playing with this and I will link you up. Don't worry. So fabulous finds there. Some of the other companies is there. They're a parent company for a lot of smaller companies, and they hold for Prang and for Lyra and for, oh, this is Lyra right here, Canston, Ticonderoga, Dixon. This is Dollar Rowney. So they kind of host a bunch of different companies. So each company has its own thing. So some of them are erasers, some of them are papers, some of them are for palettes and stuff, some of them are for pencils, for markers and stuff, high grade, low grade, a little bit of everything. Is they had all their stuff out that you could play with. Move some of this over. And so they gave us some samples of their different papers to play with in different colors, and they had pens. They had pretty much one of every type of pen, watercolor, paint, brush, you name it, out there. And then when you're done, they gave us a little goodie bag. And so these are the fun things that I got. And towards the end, they were passing some extra stuff out, which is why I got some duplicates. So I got a couple of palettes, which is great. I got some nice artist papers, which is fabulous. It's always nice to have some good paper. Some little pocket sketchbooks, which are great. And then I got a couple of little pens. So here is just a washable marker and then a pretty pencil in kind of a, oh, it's a really pretty color. Kind of a silvery color. So it's just kind of a, it looks really good on the black, so that's kind of fun. I missed at the very end, they were passing out all the stuff that people were playing with all the day, and I just barely missed getting a few extra freebies of what they were playing with at the time, but that's okay. Some of the other catalog companies that were out there, they were just passing out some fun freebies of some of the companies that are in their catalogs. So one of them was passing out, they had their school box set of markers out, and so this is, you know, Tricario, so they had their markers. That'd be great for my kids. They had every color, but they said just take 3 to 4, so that's all. Oh, I took 5. Oops. They also were passing out some little paint samples. So here's another Tricario. And then I also got some brushes. So they were passing out some brushes over there. So here's some Dynasty brushes. And they said just take a couple, and there was 2 different sizes in the bucket, so I took 1 of each size. So thank you so much. I do not remember the parent name of that company, or the catalog of that company, but I really appreciate it. General Pencils was right across from us, and they were doing a whole bunch of demos and stuff, and so you could take one of their pencils after playing around with it. So I took one of the charcoal pencils. That was pretty fun. A lot of the companies that were there, they really didn't have freebies, but it was a lot of, you could sit down and play with the items and see what they did. And so Crayola was there. They were one of the companies, but they didn't have a giveaway per se. But I said, can I take one home and play with it so I can show everybody what this is about? Because you never know when, you know, something at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, as simple as Crayola, is something that you would want to put in your repertoire because it's kind of a fun thing to play with. So let me get a piece of paper out. Let me show the back of this thing. And let me show you what this is all about. It's really cool. And it has lots of capabilities. It's just, it's a really cool brush pen, but it's got quite a bit of ink in it. And it acts kind of like a, like any other brush pen that you would have. And they come in packs, I think she said of 24 or 12, and it's like a marker, but it's got a brush tip pen, and it's a little bit cheaper than some of the other fancy ones that are out there. For instance, like Tombow and stuff, which they're great, but if you don't have the price point to spend on that, this is a good alternative. So that's kind of fun. Another company that was out there, and they had a whole bunch of these, and they had a bunch of other stuff too. They have all of these tempera paints in a stick. So it's really kind of a fun way. They dry within 10 to 15 seconds. So it's not like a gelato, because it looks like one to me, but it's not. It's a little bit different. It's a tempera paint in a stick. So it's just a really easy way to get paint. And it almost looks like it's a crayon, but then it dries almost immediately. There's a little bit of play in it, and then it dries. And so not much is coming off on my finger. It does a pretty good job of drying. So for little kids, this is an easy way of doing it, or it's just a fun kind of a medium to play with. That's really kind of an easy stick format. And they had a whole bunch of different colors and said, let me take one home. So I thought that was kind of fun. There's a lot of clay companies that were out there, and here's one. This is called Spectrum Glazes, and here's one, Saks Glazes. And they were pretty much walking by, and they stuck it in your hand. They wanted to get the product in your hand. And I really don't have a use for a glaze that needs to be fired in a kiln. So, but, you know, I wasn't going to be like, no, I'm not paying that. It was very sweet of them to hand me their sample anyway. So I did grab those. And so these are the spectrum glazes here that you can see. And I got the fire engine red. Where's that one on here? Fire engine, oh, there it is. So this is what this one would look like when it was done being set and fired. That's pretty cool. It did seem like of the entire conference, there was a good, almost about an eighth of all the booths had something to do with pottery, kilns, glazes, throwing pots, you know, something along the lines or textures to put on your clay, something like that. There was quite a few companies out there, and one of them was an air-dried clay, and this is what they had here. They had both. They had a kiln fire clay, or they had an air-dry clay, and he was passing out fun samples, and so he let me take 2 or 3 of them, I got 3, to take home to play with. And it's it says allow 3 to 5 days to completely dry, size the work, dries medium to dark gray, and does not kiln fire. And then from that, you then can paint with acrylic, tempera, watercolors, it doesn't matter. Here is one, and they were passing these out. I think this is one that he fired because it's got a pretty good glaze on it. But I thought that was pretty cool, so I thought he was giving them away. They made a whole bunch of them and they were passing them out. So thank you, I really appreciate that. This is from Texas Pottery Supply. Another company I walked by was called Pacon. P-A-C-O-N. Here it is right here, Pacon. And basically they were all different kinds of paper supplies, and unfortunately my sand glue art kind of leaked on this, and the paper, what it's supposed to do, and unfortunately because it got wet, it's doing it without me wanting to do it. It's a paper that if you wet it, it sticks to itself, or it's on this side. So if you wet this side, it's got kind of an adhesive, so it sticks to itself, and it'll stay put over time. And unfortunately, because my glue, it got a little wet in my bag, it's already started to do that in a big chunk of the section. So you can see it's starting to stick to itself already. But I think if I get down far enough in the roll, I'll be okay. So he let me take a roll. Unfortunately, I screwed it up, but it's kind of a neat idea. I don't know exactly what I would do with it yet, but some of those I put in the back of my mind and hum and haw over it, and then I come up with something. You know, it's great. They were looking at it, you know, if you're doing high school, if you're doing big chain things, if you're going to make big posters and stuff, it's just an easy tape to use. So some of them are passing out just basic kits. So this is all from the pencil grips. They were passing out a pen with one of their pencil grips, and I might give this to my son or to my daughter to help her learn how to grip her pencil even better. So it's just a really nice grip that you can put on there, and then of course it came with a pencil. And then we got the quick stick, and the quick stick, again, everybody's getting into this. It looks like a glue stick, but it's not. It's a paint in a stick form. So here, again, it looks like it's a glue stick, but it's a solid tempera paint. And so it goes on, and it's a tempera paint. It takes a couple seconds to dry, and then it's good to go. So again, it reminded me of the gelatos, but they're not really water soluble. Dries in 90 seconds. This one is a little slower drying than the other one I showed you, which is buried in here. So same concept, just different companies doing the same idea, and a little bit of a different format. Again, this was just one, and they had a whole bunch of colors. So same concept. So thank you, I appreciate that. This is another fun company that I walk by, and they have this cellulose clay. So basically it's almost like this just powder format that you add water to it, and then you can mold it into however you want, and then it dries and you can paint it. And so he was giving out free samples of this stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's called Activia, and it's basic materials for crafting, and it didn't require anything more than some water. You could add mediums to it, you could add whatever you wanted to it. It was just kind of a beginning material that then you can then play with and do all kinds of fun stuff. So I got a little bag of that to play with. So another company I was walking by was Royal Lagnickel, and they were passing out these amazing bags. And the first time I walked by, she goes, "I'm so sorry, we're completely out of bags. We'll have 4 tomorrow." So I went over, and she was only about 4 booths down from us. And so in this, we got a free brush. I love brushes. And, you know, I love their brushes. They're really nice brushes. So here I got a new brush, and then I did get a paint. And I got a violet acrylic paint from Royal Lagnickel. So that was pretty cool. And I don't know what this is. I'll have to find this out. So it's the color wheel poster about all the different colors. Mixed colors with us, Mr. Paint says, Mr. Brush says. That's pretty cute. So it's really fun for teachers to put in their classroom for paint colors and for primary, secondary, and so forth. So maybe I'll pass this on to my kids' teachers at school. That'd be pretty fun. Sargent was another company that was there, and they had just a little table of the samples of things that you can buy from them. And towards the end of the day, they were passing all of it out. So I got a pair of kid scissors. They handed me an entire box of pencils, and either we will save these and we'll use them for the school's pencils the beginning of next year, or replenishment throughout the year, pass them on to the teachers at my kids' schools, because we can always use a good number 2 pencil. So thank you so much, Sargent. I greatly appreciate that. It's amazing. All right, the last little bits and pieces of stuff that I got are just from random vendors. They could be passing out a button or a pin, so I got a couple of those. So there's a couple of those. There was, some oddball companies that are always going to be there. There was some fashion stuff there. I think they're just trying to fill some booths from previously. There was all about, taking care of Texas and not using a amount of water. So there was a little kind of a timer so that you don't take too long of baths. They were also passing out little tattoos, so that was something for my kids. UNT was next door to us because there was a whole bunch of universities there talking about they have art schools and they want to have posters, the teachers, or mention the fact that there's art schools. So my sister-in-law went there, so I'm going to give that to her. I got a couple of them so my kids could have one. Some fun stickers for my kids. That's what I brought back. We got a pin from TAEA, a bookmark, which I thought was pretty. Copic was there, but they didn't have any samples, but they did have this to pass out that you could play with their markers standing there. They were trying to get the markers in the teacher's hands. They could pass it on to like the AP level kids for classes for art, and getting the kids to understand what a Copic marker is, which I thought that was pretty fun. A lot of us know what those are, and we play with them. I was really hoping they would have 1 or 2 to pass on, but they did not. That's okay. Some people were passing out some highlighters and some fun pencils and stuff and pens, and that was pretty much the gist of the show. So for going and helping out with the booth, and our booth did phenomenal. Everybody was loving it. We had a blast. I had so much fun. I was not able to go there the first day. I was only able to go there the second and third day, but those are the longest days anyway. So we had a great time. Thank you so much, Diane, for letting me tag along and helping out in the booth and having fun with you guys. I really do appreciate it. And thanks so much. So take a look at my fun crafty haul from going to the Art Educator Teachers Association Conference. Next year we'll be in Galveston, and I think we'll be there again. So thanks so much. Bye-bye.